Anyway, this nigga, I mean, I posted this thing about, um, it says in some cities, police officers join protesters marching against brutality. And there have been stories about police across the country who have spoken out and said, this is not what we do. And, you know, different police chiefs who have gone down to talk to protesters and try to listen, and some people marching and different shit like that. And previously, like that shit just didn't happen before. Like police officers were always usually just silent about certain stuff like that, but now they're speaking out in mass. And I do a little show of support, and I praise it because I want to see more of this shit. And then this motherfucker wants to get pissy with me because that's enough to sway me or something like that. Like I can't just show praise for something that I like and I want to see more of.
Okay. I I get it. And it sounds like that's because people are still caught up in some of the bullshit hurdles. If you ask me, it's kind of like just because you see, I don't know. It's just like it's so quick to rule out and say police officers are bad, and people are just rolling with that. And just I understand it's not all, but at the same time, it's like I don't think it's smart just to just try to black and white it when they're doing the same thing. I think the whole big conversation to be having from all this shit is that it's not just black and white.
Yeah, because it's not even like black people, like it's not even majority black people in the streets right now with this thing going on. So Uh, I mean, I don't understand what he wants, if he doesn't want these people to stand up and say that this thing is not okay, because otherwise these motherfuckers are just fucking around. None of
It
these
sounds
people
like
are going to change their votes or circulate their money within the community or do anything fucking differently. They're just going to keep doing the same old bullshit. But any little progress that I praise is just bad. Like I just don't quite understand it.
it, it's like I'm too out of touch to even fucking talk on this shit. Like I have my stance on it. Well, do I have my stance on it? My stance on it is just like it's the whole fact that I think it's ignorant to just go about protests the way that they've been doing it. It's just like you don't just you don't there's no creativity in it, and you don't find any kind of message in what's been going on just in general. And like just for it as a whole, I don't know. I think too many people get caught up on just trying to pick a side and think that side is right, and that's what that sounds like there. Because like a lot of people, it seems like they demand you to just be all on this side and all on the other. I don't think it's. I never was. I never was one of the people that stood behind the whole like we need to just say Black Lives Matter and just leave it at that. I get the reason why you would say just Black Lives Matter is so you could put emphasis and show that like it feels like that race in general is just the one that's targeted. And it's just like I get it, but at the same time, the big picture is not just Black Lives Matter. There's some kind of merit behind all lives matter too. That's how I feel about it. It's just
So you saying you don't think that they should call it Black Lives Matter?
I don't I don't I don't know because it's like a I don't think it's like a definite yes of like hey you can just call that shit just Black Lives Matter. I don't know. I think it should just be something along the lines of Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter too. I don't know. It's like you need to be able to say both. You need to be able to say both, or you need to be able to explain and get it understood amongst others of why people are saying Black Lives Matter is the way that it should be. Because I get the movement. It's like you're putting emphasis on it so people can know that this is the shit that's basically not endangered. That's like a sloppy word choice, but you're putting emphasis on it so people can know that it feels like they're the ones that's targeted the most. And but it's like at the same time,
I
it's just like, what's up? Hello?
See, it's
yeah.
niggas like you holding us back.
But me, because I think I'm skipping. I'm crossing through some treacherous areas, so I am driving. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay, cool. I saw a post. I think it kind of pseudo explains what you're trying to get at. Um, I have like, just saying something that I saw. It said something like to the extent of you can't say all lives matter because as of right now in the current state, people believe that Black lives don't matter. And so they were like, until you resolve that issue, then you can say all lives. But I don't know about that. I don't know about any of this. Really, I didn't really put too much thought into it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with him. Like the issue of Black Lives Matter is not an issue about how it's said. It's just that a lot of people don't want to hear that message. There's never going to be an appropriate way to do it, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like it's murky water because people are proud of their race and not in a racist form, but when somebody hears that, they go, "What about me?" But I guess all in due time, everybody has a blueprint, right?
Hmm.
It's crazy because I don't know. I really think there's the whole melting pot idea, the whole just understanding that we're different. It's crazy because it's making this statement saying that yeah we're different and we understand that we're different and we're all in this together. That's what's important. But it's like even to be different and to bring up that conversation, you're still supposed to. It's like you're still encouraging people to be what they are and like they're whatever race that they are. They need to be able to amplify that while being in the same like understand that everyone is in this shit together. I don't really know how you go about hyping it up for each individual thing and allowing them to be in the same pot together. Actually, I do know how to do it. The same way we kind of just we celebrate all these different holidays for all the other races and shit. We bring light to what's that Latin community during May or whatever. We bring um
I
you
don't
know
think
we
people are ready to do that. People have their ideas of what's right and what's wrong, and it's not just about race, but they only want to associate with people who think like them. It's a it's an issue that people always find a reason to divide themselves amongst themselves. So I
Yeah,
don't think there's ever going to be any perfect unity in this country.
I think a part of it is that people are still looking for individualism, trying to find who they are,
Hmm.
and by trying to find who they are, they go, oh yeah, I am different, and
Hmm.
they lose track of what was the end goal. It was just not a lot of people know about their own cultures. I mean, I for one don't know anything about Hispanic cultures whatsoever. I know that they do some weird things that I think is weird or I find kind of goofy, but I mean, I don't know. Like, I associate more with my friends who are not Hispanic than I do with other Hispanics.
Yeah, I think the only way we get some kind of unity like that is if the dominant culture becomes the fact that we are different, and that's okay, and that we embrace that, and that's the good thing about our country. But a lot of people aren't. I'd say most people, not just any one type of person, but most people in general aren't ready for that.
the other part with that is like just like thinking about what you just said, Liquid, is like the fact that you associate or you don't associate with your own people are so quick to just basically cast you out and say you have nothing to say if you do that. Like it's I don't know, we do more to defeat ourselves than we do to try to actually prevail. And it just there's so many different topics that come up for me. Like there's like A lot of people that think you should be with your own race. I know there's a the guy that I always bring up, Dr. Umar Johnson or whatever I think that's his name. But he's like one of his big things is like he's like if you're black and to be in a black community and your people need to be brought up black, they need to be taught by black people. You shouldn't date outside your race. You need to do such and it's just there's this there's this basically hey let's segregate ourselves to bring ourselves up, but we move past. I don't know. We're too far down this road to just start trying to segregate ourselves again. I don't think that should be the answer.
Like
There's something.
I understand why they say stuff like that, but in the end, all you do is close yourself off, and you do the same thing that the other people that you claim is your enemy is doing. And if they do that kind of shit, you say that's bad, that's racist, let us in.
Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. I look at diversity as a strength. I learn a lot from people who don't think like me and people who came up in a different environment or in a different kind of life than I lived. I learned something from all these people.
what did she say?
She said diversity has always been America's strength, even when people don't want to see it.
Yeah, and I think we're missing out on that. That's this whole function is. This whole function is just this big ass melting pot, and we've been helping each other build and keep building. And well, yeah, we've just been helping each other build from day one. Like even from the revolution was just a mixture of motherfuckers getting together to help for the cause. I mean, there were French people here, there was Spanish people here, and everything to help build the revolution. So it's just like I don't know why we are so hell bent on separating ourselves now.
Well, I don't know. I feel like it's a lot of people. It's like the super small, the super loudest voices, smallest percentage of what's actually going on.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
so I think the really loud and people who are, you would say, I wouldn't call them crazy. They're just their ideas are like what we would consider like off. I think they're the ones with the loudest voices right now, and people who are trying to do things correctly are the ones who are getting like pushed down because of the whole the way things are going right now and just the political climate of this day and age, you know.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I
like
can.
what Bees is saying though, I don't mean to interrupt, but like what Bees was saying about the cops that were like standing with the people, like that's not new. That's not new at all. I just think it just got really bad this time that they have to shine more light to that to see if they can kind of upset it. Because I've seen that happen all the time. You know, if you go like not the same, but kind of the same in the sense of like when they do like gay pride parades, like you have to like the cops and stuff. They're there too, and they celebrate with them and whatever, you know, and things like that. I've seen a lot of that stuff happen. So
No,
I've got
when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about in relation to some kind of shooting incident or death incident involving a police officer. Those guys usually all just keep quiet or any number of things, but you don't usually see them, come out in mass and speak against it like that.
oh for sure. But a lot of that, I mean, it's all about. It's just it's just this weird. That's not weird, but it's wrong. But I think it's part of like it's some kind of like, hey, uh, you don't step on your own toes, you know. And I
Exactly.
know, and it's just, I know it sounds weird, but like I don't know, I can't really speak on it because I'm very strict biases on this. But then it's also really bad, and I just don't want to say anything about it because I know it's bad. Because it's like it's all about crossing that. You can't cross that blue line. The whole idea is not to cross the blue line because if you cross the blue line, then nobody can trust you. And if nobody can trust you, then when you're out in the field, you're by yourself, and now you have nobody with you, and then all these
Mm,
people who are already against you. So you're coming. So you're getting enemies. Well, you're gonna get enemies from the normal people, but people who are supposed to help you because you cross that line, they won't help
Hmm.
you. because you're no longer a part
Exactly.
of it.
Hey,
And
don't
so,
don't you ever hesitate to say something if you think that shit's true, whether you think it'll piss somebody off or not. People need to
it's
hear
not.
shit like that.
It's not. I'm not trying to like. It's just I don't know. It's just it's a little too personal for me. Uh, oh, because I have a lot of family in it, and my family stands out for all this stuff. My people don't do these kind of things. I mean, I have heard them talk about like what they have to do, and like they can sit there and they go, "Oh well, this happened because this, and this." But then also like I want to listen to them because they're my family and they're my blood. But at the same time, I want to see things like from the other perspectives. But then there's always the argument of like the cameras only turn on once it goes wrong, you know.
Hmm.
But like, why did it go wrong to begin with? And then like people like it, and granted, people do like to just tell a half truth and be like, this guy's the victim, and not explain the entire thing. But how many times can you use that to explain what happened?
Yeah.
You only can use
Yeah,
that so many times before it gets old and go, okay, well, one of y'all is lying. Which one?
exactly. Because it's not 100%, and I think that's what people are pissed about. But I think you're absolutely right, and that's why I go. That's why I made sure to go against my normal reaction, which is to ignore it and think it's just some PR thing or something like that, and understand that it takes some amount of courage for them to step outside of that line and to speak up and say something. And if I'm going to be the person who just ignores them or criticize them for not doing enough, then they're not going to do it again.
Right. It's like for sure. It's like when a kid does something and then you like in terms of like you stifle their creativity because they want to draw, but they end up drawing on something that they weren't supposed to, and you yell at them and they never touch the fucking crayons again when they could have been the next Picasso or something.
Hmm.
Yeah. It applies to. I mean, it's just like for us in the kitchen when something bad happens, especially when I was a lot younger and we were just a part of the line. I was never really in the management, and we were just when something went wrong, like we all did everything we could to cover it up so that the chef wouldn't find out. Granted, eventually when the numbers came down to it and all this stuff, like they're doing inventory or whatever, like, hey, where did this case of potatoes go? They're asking for it, and none of us would say anything. Of course, we would all get in trouble, and something would happen to all of us. But it was the people who would say like, oh, hey, John burned them. That was the guy that was like had put the hugest target on his back, and he was going to be kicked. He was going to be like we were gonna not help him clean, not help him cook. If he was like buried in like orders, nobody would help him at all. Everybody would turn their back to him. And, you know, like if he needed somebody to take his shift, nobody would do it. And to eventually he got pushed out, he got fired, or he quit because of just about the quote unquote hostile work environment.
Hmm.
Mm. The,
And I've
the the
and
crazy.
mm-hmm.
No, I was gonna ask you, like, you know how in the military, basically, when with like what the best approach basically be to you would address that shit from the inside, like you wouldn't say anything about it. The people after would just basically go to him and just be like, "Hey, man, get your shit together." Like that's how you would basically approach it. Instead of like snitching on them, you would just, as a team, address it with that person.
Yeah, you self correct within the unit. But
Hmm.
a lot of this is like, you know, just like a lot of things, if somebody's old and bitter, cynical, and you go, "Hey, dude, you're taking things too far," they're gonna look at you and go, "I've been doing this for 12 years. You just started. Don't talk to me." Walk around in my boots because of whatever they may have experienced, like within their tenure as uh, an officer or a cook or any kind of line of work. Eventually you have those cynical people, and it's just like I've seen it. I've seen like where there's like a new rule and go, hey, the new rule state you can't no longer do it this way when it comes to cooking, and you'll go to some tattered, rattered, old chef or a cook, and he'd be like, I've been doing it this way for 25 years. Well, it turns out for those last 25 years, people have been getting sick because you've been doing it that way. but he's not gonna change because we haven't done it that way. And like I've experienced things where, I mean, y'all know me completely from the day one. Y'all know I've never been a person of hate. Like like I have some like tendencies to not like a certain classes of people, but this is because I feel a certain way about those people. But it's never been about race, you know. And there was a time and point where I was working at this restaurant where I had to deal with uh the ghettoest people ever that I've ever had to deal with as a clientele. Like I'm like day and night, it was just a bunch of ratchet stuff going on all the time. And slowly but surely I could feel myself starting to hate those people. And it wasn't just like, they're just ghetto, I can't stand them. It was like at some point I could feel myself going, I can't stand these black people because they always come in and they mess up everything I got going on. And I was like, it was transferring because all I did was deal with those people. Granted, I mean, it's a huge step to be like, I'm gonna kill this person or I'm gonna do something to make sure this person doesn't live. But I don't sympathize, but I do understand it a touch. Because when you put yourself in situations where all you deal with is this certain class of people, you tend to go, okay, I know this person is gonna get this person's gonna get this person's gonna get this, and they're all gonna make me work left and right for an hour, and they're only gonna give me, and they're not gonna tip me, and their bill's gonna be $100 or something dollars, and for this whole hour I was here working for these people, essentially, I'm gonna have to pay out somebody else, and I made negative money for this hour, you know, like stuff like that over and over again. It gets to you, no matter how tranquil you are, no matter how like inner peace you get. Eventually, everybody has a line, and I could feel myself getting closer. And I eventually left that restaurant. As soon as I left it, and I changed my environment, I was pieces. I was Reese's pieces with everything. I dropped it. I still don't like it sometimes when I see it, but it's just because I know what somebody's experiencing while they're having to deal with a class of people who are just like, no, you should be getting paid by the restaurant. I'm not gonna pay you, even though good and well everybody knows that waiters make $2, you know. And so like I can only imagine what cops go through. And
What would you change about it? Because I have my own like. Oh, sorry, my bad. I can't. Watch, I ask you a question and then start talking. My bad.
What I would change about it, like it would have to be things like, hey man, you can't, because a lot of people like most people like their watch, you know, like my sibling likes their watch. There's a bunch of action. They're running around all day, doing stuff here's there, going to call here, there, making a stop here, doing that, doing this, doing that, right? And they like it. But there's other people who like to be in Highland Park or on the good side or the very slow side of Dallas, where it's just like, hell yeah, we're chilling. I'm gonna sit in my car for 12 hours and not do nothing, and then not get exposed, to the people, right? And so then, like one day, the dude from North Dallas has to work a shift in Pleasant Grove, and then that guy gets a phone call and it's just like, oh no, it's like, how do I react to this? Because they've been stagnant in what I would say their career or tenure. Like my sister, I guarantee you, she'd know how to handle. Like, hey man, get your ass over here, whatever. Calm down. What's going on? And then she could sit there and fucking, because you're exposed to it, right? So a lot of it has to be like maybe changing a lot of like, hey, you can't. Maybe for 4 months you're here, 4 months you're here. Like you have to rotate, right? You have to rotate your watches. You can't just be in one area of the city. You have to do all the areas because if you think about it, these are mostly like you'll never hear like something like this happen about like in Dallas from sheriffs from the county, because a lot of those guys have to sit there and work at least 2 years. It's the most part 2 years inside the jail where you have no weapons, you have nothing, you have a radio maybe, a radio and some keys, and you have to sit there and you're 50-1 or even like 100-1 criminal to person to law to sheriff or the deputy. So you have to sit there and you have to learn how to de-escalate. You shouldn't have de-escalate in all situations all day, and so it becomes muscle memory and you get used to it. I think a lot of these guys run into issues where they're like not used to it, or they're pampered in some way. Not, I don't really know because I don't know this guy's. I like the Baltimore guy. I don't know what happened where he was at, or the dude over there, and who's it. I don't know how they do their things there, but I know that around here, you would never hear that from the sheriff or the sheriffs for sure, to the sheriff's office, because they for sure have to deal with the criminal element and the people who get arrested all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they know how to de-escalate situations. So when they have to go work the streets, they're for the most part they know how to do everything before they have to pull their gun. So obviously, like, it's more training that needs to happen. It's more moving them around, getting them used to people, and honestly, if somebody's like, hey, there has to be a change within the system itself, and they go, oh man, Johnson's a kind of a racist dude. I ain't gonna say nothing, but he is. But that has to change to like, hey, I'm having some concerns about Johnson, to where like where IA doesn't like, it's not like where discretion can be more secure. You can go, hey man, just a heads up, I think Johnson needs to, or hey, I need a supervisor should go ride with him, or a non-supervisor should go ride with him, like a different partner, and see how they act. And obviously, people can change because they're like, I don't want to get exposed, but like, there's a whole mess of things that need to happen. I think it needs to get shook up a little bit, just a touch, because like the argument goes, there's a million cop to civil there's a million cop to civilian interactions a day. The ratio between incident to interaction is, super disparaging towards the accident side, because it's like, doesn't happen. But the fact that it does happen, it still needs to be addressed.
Right.
I don't even know where to start though, because it seems like it's just a cycle. We end up it like this is kind of like the repeat of what happened with the whole Trayvon Martin thing. It started with a guy that wasn't a cop killing a guy. Then there was a guy got killed by a cop, and a series of times. What was it? I forgot what the guy's name was. It Brown? Some kind of somebody got shot. Point being, it was someone died by the hands of a cop, and then that got over broadcast, and then it happened again, and then that got over broadcast. And I understand the people going out in the protests, they're most likely out there and doing these protests representing all the people that got killed. But the way that the media portrays it, it just kind of just it gets overwritten. The cases get completed, or you never hear about it again, and then just life kind of just goes back to normal per se. Or what I mean by normal, the regular bullshit of the silence that we don't hear about shit for a good while until something does pop off again, and nothing really gets addressed. Like I might be speaking out my neck here because I know after the last sequence of events, then there was more officers riding around with, they had to wear cams and shit. But yeah, for the most part, it just seems like it's like the next incident is we're just waiting for the next incident or the next chain of cycles to happen. And
Cycle. You already said it.
yeah, and it's yeah, I don't know well, I don't know. Is that one of those things that's in the power of the people? They need to vote on how they need to have the police department revamped, or I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. What's the solution? Because all it seems like we do is just run in a big ass circle, and yeah, that's what it seems like. It's just an endless fucking loop.
No one knows the right answer because it's probably not. It's probably not ever going to be perfect.
Yeah. Or maybe the right answer doesn't exist because it's multiple answers. So it's not one single thing that needs to happen. It's a lot of things that need to happen. I mean, as a society too, I've seen a lot of guys put them get jammed up because they have already a certain uh they already feel a certain way about cops. So when a cop pulls them over,
Mm-hmm.
instead of it being like a bim bam boom, all right, have a good night, they want to run their lip, and then they get in more trouble. Like somebody that I know, like who pulls people over, like half the time they just go, where are you going? "Oh, okay, cool. You know what you were doing, right? You know you were doing wrong. Yeah. All right, cool. See you later. Here's a warning." Oh, they pull somebody over because they're not trying to ruin somebody's life by taking them to jail for something. And not trying to do anything. Obviously, everybody has a life to live. And one less thing, it makes it harder when you get a ticket and it's like $400.
Yeah.
So, but that same person will also go, hey, I'm gonna take this easy as they take it. If they take it hard, then I'm gonna treat them the way they're treating me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I don't know if that's like a respect thing, like respect, and then you get respect, or like something like that. But that same person will like jam you up if you immediately start busting off like those guys who are like, you can't come in here. I am not a citizen. Whatever. I am not traveling. The sovereign citizens. They're called sovereign citizens. Like those guys. Those guys are almost always guaranteed to get caught up on something because they're hiding something, or they don't want to. I don't know. They're using arcane laws, but then we use arcane laws too.
Because when you actually saying that, like I don't think it's always the best way to say they're hiding something. Because personally, I would like to go that route too, mainly just because because I had I think you guys remember that incident I had. Was that was that a year or 2 years ago? And of course, it was a situation where me and someone got into an altercation, and it resulted in both of us being held in custody. But like initially, just from the jump, um, like for me, I'm in my head. It's like, hey man, I'm a black guy, and then with the cops, and automatically what goes in my head is anything with the cops means my my chances of dying have just exponentially rose. And it's like I don't want to have to think that way, but just from just thinking about everything, that's just what I get. That's the thought process. Like and since I know this is how it is in my head, it's like, all right, I got pulled over by a cop or something, or I think the cop's white. The first thing that goes in head is just like, yo, I'm about to get fucked over. Like I have no right to it. Like I know that yes, I was doing wrong, but then it's like the fact that I'm black kind of amplifies it. Like I don't care what bullshit people say. Like, hey man, you should just leave it at you were doing wrong. It's it's I don't know. It's just like
I
because if you
felt that
put
way.
this,
I felt that way too. Even when you don't know why you're wrong or you aren't exactly doing anything wrong. Like when I got pulled over for walking in the street, and it's like that's not even a real crime because there's no fucking sidewalk here. What did you expect me to do? And then he says that instead of walking on the side of the street that I was walking on, I should walk where the incoming traffic is going so that I can see when a car is coming versus walking on the other side. Like this guy had no reason to actually pull me over and to look up my information to see if I had warrants or something. I just look like I'm not the mainstream person around here, and so I need to be looked up. And it's kind of weird to feel like that, to feel like you're a target just walking around. There's
I
another
feel like there's
time
a
when I was speeding over there. This is all over there by UNT when this stuff happened, but another time I was speeding a little bit through there, and I didn't know the school zone went that far, and I'm just going like a regular speed, and it's a school zone at night, and me and Steady got pulled over, and it's like I'm just kind of shaking while I'm trying to find my information that he's asking me for, you know, because I don't know how this thing's gonna end up. And if this guy is one of those types where he sees me being nervous and now he's nervous on top of that, like this is already gonna go wrong.
Another instance was when we were walking that one time we were walking a girl back to TW. That it was that night. It was four of us. I think it was like it was four of us. Was it four black males? I don't remember. If I'm not mistaken, it was four black males, and we
Oh
were
yeah.
walking back a girl to TW.
We were
Next thing you
all we were
know,
all covered up. I had my hood like completely over my face because it was cold as fuck right
yeah,
there
it
over
was
my
it was
face.
cold as fuck. So we had all the reasons to be, looking like we were, and not to mention it was late at night and we weren't up to like it wasn't nothing going on. And why did they stop for us? Why did they turn their lights on? Because it was no one coming. The cop was sitting on the other side, and we walked across the street when there wasn't a like the what's the thing? Basically with the man walking. We didn't have the right
It
of way to
wasn't.
go
We didn't
because
have a
of
walk signal,
yeah.
and the the uh the lanes facing us, like in the direction we were going, they turned green. So we just naturally assumed that you get the right to walk now because that's usually how it works. But we didn't see a thing, and then we walk across, and this guy pulls us over, and the sign is behind us in the direction we weren't looking, so that's why we didn't fucking see it. But he pulls us over, and he has to check us all out. He thinks we're on our way back to Dallas and Fort Worth and McKinney and fucking Denton, and we're, I don't know, like we just don't belong here. So you're obviously on your way back to wherever it is that you go, and we're all, going to school here, minus Christian. He was just there hanging out that weekend.
But just the
But
whole fact, like even if the sign was there or not, like it's one of those things where it's just like did you just do this because you wanted some fucking entertainment? Because that's what it feels like. Honestly, that's what it feels like when some of these cops do the shit that they
because
do.
they
It's
were following us for a little bit. Like they had multiple cars. There was a big van that went and parked up in some parking lot that we were gonna pass as we kept walking. Like it was a few of them. This shit was coordinated.
Yeah, but you also have to understand that a good amount of people who get caught that they've been looking for are done that way, where it's like, hey, this is a group of people. We're just gonna cast a net and see if one of the guys that we've been looking for is in that group.
so
And so sometimes, so they do things like, okay, oh, probable cause enough for us to stop and look for the person that we're actually looking for. You know, that's how most guys get caught nowadays through like what they call like I don't know if they call it that, but it's a sort of like a throwing a net and they're just kind of reeling it in and then letting out whatever's like not what they need. You know, kind of
personally,
sounds crummy when you say it that way, but I mean,
It sounds like depersonalization. And at the end of the day, I just want to be a person.
yeah. And well, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, personally, I don't. I feel like the cops are too human. Like it's crazy, but it's and this just speaking out my neck, and it's like some fucking fantasy idea, but I don't know. I think humans are too human to be trying to police humans. It's just there's just all these scenarios. You'll never get a perfect system. You'll never get a perfect system. I don't care how much training you put on people. Like you said, if you're training, if you're doing some work and you are introduced to a case of people over time, you're gonna start feeling your biases towards them. If you're under some kind of stress from them that's negative, you're gonna feel some kind of bias towards them. And regardless, so if you see four people at night that happen to reflect the class, the people or the people that you are basically biased to, you're gonna stop their ass and be like, okay, let me see if this is. I don't know. It's just like it's broken. Everything is fucking broken.
No,
At the end of the
I
day,
think the issue is not that they are people. I think the issue is that there are not enough people in the system on that side. At the end of the day, you become a number and you become a lot of times a dollar sign, and you get put into a system that treats you as such, probably treats you as cattle, as something to be kept alive, basically. And there's no real kind of there is no human experience in it after a certain point, and I think that's the issue.
how would you solve it?
I mean, at the end of the day, so many of society's problems are caused by an unequal spread of money, because if you had more money to these people, and a good environment, you know, you can. I mean, these people don't have to end up in jail just because a string of bad events happen in this life in their life to make them the kind of person that they are. And if you had people in the system that were actively trying to rehabilitate these people into becoming better people in society and being able to better integrate into society, then there'd be less people out causing issues in society once they, you know what I mean? Like it's
I,
just one of those things where the system reinforces itself, but that's because it's made to be that way.
I feel you. I mean, I feel you. This is it's like it's one of those things where it's not a it's yeah it is a lot to take in, but it is this it's like it's never simple, and then there's no one really there that wants to put in the work. Like we sit here and talk about the ideas about it, and it's like what can we do, and then it turns into all right, we know what we can do. We can go out and protest, but then you have the fucking ignorant people that cause the problems of the protest, and it's just
There's never
ah.
a right answer because some people don't like protests, and some people don't. A lot of people don't respect protests, the peaceful ones. Because if you look at that uh, Occupy Wall Street thing, that shit was across country. It's like the one of the biggest protests that I've ever seen, even now, and fucking nothing happened. Not a goddamn thing.
They sat out there a long time.
Yeah, for like months. You know, they're just sitting out, camped out in front of these. You know, what the fuck happened with that? They all just laughed at them.
It became an art installation. Like these are our hobos, homegrown hobos.
I don't know. I just remember a lot of people laughing at them, talking about how it was a failed protest, and it's like, okay, well now they know what not to do. Clearly, peaceful is off the table.
Uh,
It,
Peace was never off the table. I mean, war was never off the table.
well, and that actually that also turns to the other question. Wow, shit, why don't we just fucking all right, I'm saying this, and whoever hears this or whatever, don't fucking come and take me to jail because I said some bullshit. But why don't we just drop arms and just go reset this shit? You know, it's just you get enough people, and then you just decide to be radical about it, and then you just say, "Fuck it, let's just roll ahead and roll with the violence." And you get enough numbers that do go across it. Why don't you just do it? You take back it, and I don't know. I'm just kind of spewing here, but you take up guns and you just fucking go with it, and you just fucking
Well,
go.
if you're at that point and you're ready to do some work, then there's much better ways you can do it. It
You
all
right?
goes back to money. These people are willingly giving their money away, which gives their power away.
Oh, this goes back to fucking money.
Hmm. You give your money away, you give your power away. But a lot of motherfuckers love Walmart.
They do. They do. I'm
And
I'm
I
very, I
still
feel
go
like
there,
I'm
and I still go there sometimes. So I can't act like I'm better than thou. But I mean, if you don't circulate money within the community, then you know.
it's it's like you said, it's the work, it's the money, it's the work. Because I was talking about it earlier, not today, probably earlier this weekend. I was going like one of the ways to hit this shit. Like you said, you attack it with the money. Maybe instead of buying anything outside of like black people stuff. Maybe you just switch all your funds and stuff to just buying only black, but it's so hard to know right off the bat where to even do that. It would be nice if maybe someone took the time to just set up a guideline. So it's just like, okay, you want to buy black? Here's what you do. Here's what you do. This is the place that's near you to where you can just put all your money into this instead of something else so it can hit hard elsewhere. But I don't
The
know.
question is, would you do it?
I mean, I know for me,
Like if I set
seeing
up a bank right now, and say, "Hey, bro, send me your money. I'll make sure it gets taken care of."
I would, in the worst, I wouldn't full on do it. I wouldn't full on do it.
Exactly.
I would take half of my shit and then, oh, not necessarily half. I'd probably give it like a percentage, some that I was comfortable with giving to see if it would work out. And I think that's also the problem with people right there. They're not willing to put and go all in
Yep.
because they're not comfortable with it.
Yep. And you have to build something that's the trap that we would often get into of it's got to be this great, off the bat, but you got to build this shit, you know?
You right?
Mm-hmm.
You right? That's that's so many fucking variables.
Exactly. But, I talk about that shit and people don't even want to have the conversation. So it's not like something standing in their way. They just don't want to do it and they don't want to
Well,
hear it.
then it runs you back in that circle, and then you just end up going to your thought process, going like, okay, in that case, what I should worry about is me, myself, the people around me, and then you just get closed off again, and it just takes you
Mhm.
all back. It takes you all back to that.
And if there is a point in time where you can put somebody else on, then you do that.
But that don't fucking happen.
J. Cole trying to
Man.
do it. You gotta listen to this nigga.
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised he unravels from his cave and says some shit soon.
Oh, he's out in the streets in Vietnam.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I don't follow him like that. Yeah, because you're back on to like bumping his shit and shit now.
No, I was just on Facebook. These niggas are having this conversation in real time.
Mm. You
You
feel
should
like you
see it.
don't do enough then? Because like actually, when I sit in my home that's not anywhere attached to any of these things, it's like it's so easy to just disconnect. Yeah, it's so easy to disconnect and just kind of just forget about it and just go back to the norm. Because there's that too. There is that. There's the desensitized, not desensitized or whatever, the disconnected people, the people who aren't seeing that shit right there at their door, and then they go
They're
back to
not.
work.
Yeah, they're not seeing it because they're out. Well, some of them are busy working and stuff because they just have to work. And I think some people don't see it because they're just out living their life. And at the end of the day, that's what I want from my life. I want to be able to go and live my fucking life. And so I think it is important to disconnect, and that's why I do it. Because I don't want to get distracted with this shit. Because it's nonstop. Every week there's a conversation about something that I need to be outraged about, either on social media or the news or something else. And I just don't want to hear it all the time because I got plans and shit. I told Monte, man, I'm trying to win, man. I can't be dragged down with some niggas that's losing right now.
So this doesn't make us any better. It's like, and then it's funny because I was finding myself fatigued from the conversation because I just felt myself rolling in a circle, knowing that I didn't have a solution about it, and all I could really do is just bitch about how bad it was, and it's just like, and even if somebody
Exactly.
said there is something you could do, like what the fuck does it do? At the end of the day, if you're not going down there, you're not. I won't even say if you're not going down there protesting. If you're like, what the fuck can you even do? What the fuck can you even do?
You'll hop
I
on these nuts.
I'll be there in a second, man.
I mean, I know what I can do. This is what I tell people to do all the time. They just don't want to hear it. But I'm trying to go do it, and you know, I don't want to get distracted because y'all motherfuckers just over here bitching.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
let's just start the religion. Let's just go ahead and start the religion and go ahead and get that little plot of land, write it off.
I mean, I'm building that shit here. I'm trying to get my I'm trying to get my carrots growing and all that shit.
Yeah. That's what you were supposed to be talking about instead of getting outraged by outrage culture. No.
Exactly, because that's what we were doing until this shit happens, and then now we're staying up watching this, this shit on TV and watching them destroy the neighborhood, and then, then
Not
after,
I.
I mean, lucky you,
Because
lucky
like
you.
I had to keep in mind in the back of my head, it's like the same thing with the fucking coronavirus. You got to remember that shit, but it's so easy to fall for it. I did my maybe like about an hour, and I was like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm done. And then I was just like, I'm done with it because I recognize where my power is and what I could and cannot do. And I said, all right, there we go. Like, cause I knew I fell for it. Cause this morning I made a post talking about, hey, if there's anybody doing a protest, I wanted to talk to them. Cause I wanted to just get the story. Cause I was hearing too much shit that sounded left from right or wrong. There was one guy, he said he had footage. Then I remembered he didn't even live in the state anymore. And cause I was gonna see if he'd be interested in talking about it. But fucking found out, I forgot that he didn't even live here. He's talking about shit elsewhere in another
yeah.
city. And I
All
think
these
that's the
niggas are on,
craziest part.
yeah, all these niggas are on social media talking, just talking.
Exactly. Just
But
talking.
yeah, I saw it, and then I didn't want to get sucked into it, and then Kay saw it, and she didn't know she wanted to get me sucked into it, and then, you know, over time, then some fires happened, and then that shit started popping up all over the U.S. So now you got to pay attention because where is it not gonna pop off?
Hey, MSNBC guy got hit with a rubber bullet in DC.
Yeah,
He's like, oh shit.
yeah, they're over there shooting reporters and arresting them niggas and shit. Like you have to pay attention. This shit might
Yeah.
might do something. These niggas are talking about killing people.
But
Yeah.
did she die though?
Hmm?
He
Did
said,
she
but then
die
she
though?
died though.
No, only one person died so far.
He was looting.
Two
Yeah.
guys that I know of got hit with rubber bullets. So
Yeah,
I
they're
saw I saw
taking
the guy got hit with a rubber bullet. Them rubber bullets are big as fuck. They is not nothing to play with.
I mean, those white people
Bro,
out there charging them hoes in Dallas. They were not fucking around.
them hoes are like, I don't know, man. Them hoes are the size of goddamn golf balls. You should not hit them motherfucker with a rubber bullet.
And they sound like real guns too, real loud as fuck. They put a lot of
Yeah.
engineering into that shit.
See, we should just hit motherfuckers with rubber bullets all the time. They won't die. You just just armor. You just armor cop with rubber bullets. You pull them over, like, hey man, you better stop what you're doing. Hit him right in that forehead with the rubber bullet. He ain't gonna do nothing after that. You might need to get him to the hospital instantly so you can try to, save him from that concussion. But
See, they gonna pull the real guns out on your ass. He's talking about shooting the cops with rubber bullets.
oh
no,
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no, not the cops. I'm talking about people in general. You can
Oh,
take the regular guns.
he's talking about riding around town just shooting regular motherfuckers like they
Oh,
still ain't gonna kill this nigga.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think I've been taken out of context. This is not what I wanted. Now I'm just getting get shot. Just
All I'm saying is they still gonna kill you.
oh yeah,
They're not
regardless.
gonna give a fuck if that shit's rubber bullet or not. You
Right.
point a gun at them, they don't know,
Yeah.
and they ain't gonna care either.
All right, now it's time to correct it. I was saying the cops should be the one wielding rubber bullets all the time. So when you get pulled over, it's like you still injure them and stop them, but it's like it for me. Like I always keep saying when I'm always rambling and venting about this shit, it's kind of like the idea of like, hey, let's take away the ability to kill. Let's try to see if we can design a way to what's the
Oh,
word?
he's talking about the cops having rubber bullet guns all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's gonna work. Because they don't know who has a real gun,
Right.
and they'll get shot the fuck up.
I know. I was trying to basically get to the thing that I normally end up spewing. Is it incapacitate? What the fuck is the word? Incapacitate? What the fuck is the word? What am I looking for? I think you know what I'm trying to say. Basically, to subdue
you said-
someone without so basically subdue someone without having to kill them. Like, what if you could redesign a way? I don't know, man. You
It's called
fucking
a
give me.
taser. They have them hoes. It
Tasers
pisses
don't
me off
work.
a little bit. What do you mean they don't work?
They don't work. Not, I mean, they work, but they don't work because there's people There's people who can still move and fully function when a taser has been fully discharged at full power. That happens all the time.
Mm.
Where you have two cops, they'll go taser, they discharge taser. Another guy will discharge taser. Guy is still running at them or away, like against them for the most part, because they discharge tasers, they're probably about to start fighting, and then like
Mm.
you have four prongs in you shooting you with all the volts. They're still coming at you. At that point, you have situations like excited delirium, where it's like, it just enhances. If they have any intoxicants in their system, it can enhance those things, and so like they get, like the adrenaline is like times 4, and that's when people get shot like 10 times. They survive because they're just like so hyped up,
Mm.
Like there was
I
that
get you.
one guy who got pumped with like 28 bullets by one dude, and that guy still was able to go to his car, get his AK, and shoot like 300 rounds back at the cop. And that was crazy. I'm like, oh damn. But obviously that doesn't happen all the time. People do go down with tasers, but it's also like if you're really fat, tasers work on muscle. Like the reason they hurt is because they cramp all your muscles. So
Mm.
when you're really big, you don't have a whole lot of muscle mass. Sometimes it doesn't go all the way through. So
Mm.
tasers are effective, but not always 100%. Just like
Mm.
a
Not to
condom.
mention the bullshit that happens from it. Like, cause I know that I didn't looked it up, but I'm pretty sure there's some repercussions from getting hit with a taser. Probably sure people be sitting around twitching after that shit sometimes too. And then I
I
got this
mean,
new problem.
the most that can happen is like one. There's like two things. One, you have a prong in your body that they have to fish out. It's like a fish hook, and that kind of hurts a little bit. But I'd rather have the prongs than a bullet. And two, people with like pacers and like heart murmurs, they can go into cardiac arrest.
So that bitch ass should be doing shit anyway, having a pacer. Sit your ass down.
Mm. So they
That's the
need
people who don't have it.
something that shoots out something that can incapacitate someone and just restricts them in a way.
We talked about this a while in the original version of this podcast, and it was like there was like bolo tie. It was like a bolo tie gun, a bolo gun they had invented,
Oh,
and like all these little things. But I really don't know. Like, if there was some way they could create that infrared thing that the military has in a gun form, that might be useful.
what
Where
You
infrared
was
thing?
you were talking
it's
about
like
that. I remember.
it's like this huge like it shoots infrared at you, and it vibrates the skin under your skin, your subdermal. So it feels like you're burning. You're not really burning, but it feels like you're burning because it's vibrating the skin under. And so you crunch up, you stop moving because
Mm.
it feels like somebody's threw you in in a pit of lava or something like that.
Yeah, I cannot say that I'd be a fan of that.
It's slow you down.
It'll keep you alive. I think that's like one
Yeah.
of the things that I'm just trying to figure out. How do we just lower the ability to kill people? But then shit, you think about shit with the officer. He had the guy's neck down. Well, he had his knee in his neck, and he cut off his breath, his air that way. So there's that
Mhm.
too. But like, cause there's that concept of like using a super high frequency to like subdue a person. Like if you just use, I don't know, it's not bass or some shit, but it's like a very heavy frequency, and you just shot that at somebody, and I don't know if they have that. I don't even know if that's a thing. Like you have like a really heavy amount of bass, and you just shot that at somebody, and you can lower them down like that.
I was thinking of like some foam or something that could
Mm.
harden around a person.
Well,
On some Spider-Man
yeah,
shit.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, it's
I
not a
love
bad idea. It's not a bad idea.
I love Spider-Man.
Cops are gonna turn into Spider-Man.
Hey, why not, dude? They're like the best superhero. So
But yeah, conversations like these are why people cannot just close off a different opinion. Because I think all of it's important.
it's all important until you start spewing. Because like I'm seeing people being like super super disrespectful to other races
Yeah,
because of this whole thing. And it's just like, yo, if somebody white did the same thing, y'all be up their ass right now.
right.
It's a super huge double standard. And like they were talking about this actually earlier because it's like everything that everybody talks about right now. And they were like, nobody ever really makes a big stink when a black guy kills a white guy, a cop kills a white guy, or when an Asian dude kills a Hispanic guy in like Chinatown or whatever Like that's
Hmm.
never really the stink. Like it's just like that happened, whatever. And then somebody was like trying to bring in this like, well, victimization is a powerful tool. And I was like, oh, okay, and I walked away. But I was like, yeah. I mean, why does this happen, but it doesn't happen in other situations? Is it because of the frequency, or is it just because of like I don't really know, honestly. I know that happens, but I don't know why.
There was an argument that was made behind it, and this comes back. I hate that I gotta keep bringing the guy's name out because I really don't want to bring light to him, but it's just fuck it. It's like it'll bring relativity to it. But the Dr. Umar Johnson guy, his whole argument was other races, they have a foundation. They have things they'll go back to. He was claiming that especially if you're Chinese and you're in America, you're still like repping China. Like you're in America, but like you know that your mother country is China and you have something to rep. So there's a foundation made for you on it. But when you reflect back to the black race, basically they don't have a foundation, so they don't have anything to go back to. So they're not together. So it's just always them tearing at each other's necks and just
Hmm.
constantly fighting each other. So it's like the outlash gets heard more. It's because they don't have a fucking place to be. It's just like we're always against each other, and since we are, all we can really do is just uprising chaos. And
You're
I'm
right.
just like, it's
Because
just
it's called culture. A lot of black culture, and some people even say all is slave culture.
yeah. And then that's when you get those arguments, or at least that's when you get those pursuits of, hey, that means we need to focus in on ourselves and we need to build a foundation. And it's like, I get it, but that's still not exactly the answer. Like, that's part of the equation, but there's some other missing variables. You still have to take hold of like the environment you're in. You this is like fuck it.
What you're trying to say is that it's complicated. There's no one right answer. All of that is true. That's part of why I'm trying to build my own culture and my own traditions and all that stuff, and get away from that shit. Because that foundation is not one of positivity for Black people. I mean, it's so much of what we do is rooted directly in slavery. And I guess the more time goes on and the more I try to learn and pay attention to stuff, the more some of the mindsets and some of the people that I've hated and agreed with in the past, I mean, I flip sides on them. And like, I understand why Oprah says that we need to have a funeral for the N word. And before I thought she was stupid, this is our own thing. We're doing whatever we want with it because they don't own it and they don't own us. And on the flip side, I understand why she says it because in a different light, I mean, just saying you my nigga. I mean, that's a direct reference of something a slave owner would say. You know,
Mm.
you're still property in that sense. But it's just rooted in so much shit that we take for granted and don't think about. And I try to keep an open mind about all of it now and to take the stuff that I like and build with it.
See, you've learned to learn. Well, that's stupid. Well, no, it's not stupid, but it's like not portraying it correctly. The point is, you learn that it's more than just what you've been taught. You've learned that you need to take in all of this shit as a whole instead of just being lazy and just going with the norm and calling what you know all that there is.
You're
It's
right, bro. I've recognized that. I don't know if that's a part of the culture or biology, but the desire to learn, to take in more and new information, that's something that seems to be not embraced in our culture or and in our people. And I don't know how they get out of that. I don't know how long it took me to get out of it, but I was aware that, people were talking about certain things for a while, and it's like, but y'all weren't even practicing what you were preaching, and you
mm,
want me to take this thing seriously, and you say this thing is how this works, and that doesn't make sense to me, and I just tried to keep my ear to the ground basically, and slowly I found my way out by just thinking about it and just trying to, learn some new stuff. But I had to want that for myself to
yeah.
change everything that I had known.
You have to. I don't know where it starts from. Because I would say you would say think about where you went to school. Maybe that affected you. Maybe that helped you get to other opportunities and see other doors. Um, but then I think about other people that we did go to school with, and they're still on the same pattern as just that. I don't know.
Exactly. And it's not even about the school, because I mean, just doing the gardening shit, like, that teaches you to plan long term, and I kind of find enjoyment out of it. You have to watch this thing grow, and you have to learn patience. And even when you're pulling weeds and stuff like that, like, you have to have patience when you pull that stuff out. Otherwise, it'll just break off, you know. And to
Yeah.
fully get that weed out, you have to have the patience to get down there and grab a good hold and even dig it out if you need to.
Mm.
And there's certain lessons that you don't learn in school. Like, one of that's ours was one of the top in the nation, and there's just so many different types of experiences we didn't get to have, and different ways to expand our minds that weren't just memorize this thing and fill it out on the test.
There actually, it's like the one thing that our school did do was kind of like just allow you to boost your numbers. Because um, more on that is because like when I transferred to a regular school senior year, like all my shit was boosted just because I went to that school. It's like that was
Mhm.
like the thing there. So it's like, I mean, there was another gentleman that was in a higher class, one of like the special classes or whatever, like one of the top two, and all the classes he had been taking were just all these college courses. That's what they do there. They try to basically prep you to get into college faster. And it's
Mhm.
like one trick to that game is shit, fuck staying in that school. Just go transfer to another school so you'll be ranked number two in that whole school. And then you get the better scholarship than some other motherfucker. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's just like schools aren't for they aren't built anymore for helping you
Mhm.
learn in life. They're just
Yeah.
built so you can go to college. And college is, if you
Mhm.
ask me, not necessarily even a thing you need to do anymore, especially the way the shit's built.
Nope.
Yep. It's not. That's why I started looking at them like daycare centers for people's kids. I mean, they used to do that back in the day too. Like, those rich motherfuckers would send their kids off to whatever college and all that. And then that's just like a little social system. I don't know how much learning actually takes place there at school, but we put so much faith in it. People put so much faith in it to teach their kids, and you probably do a better job if you had more time at home.
I don't know, man. Some people are stupid.
Some people are stupid, but maybe they didn't have time either.
This is true. This is true. Because everybody was worried about money.
Hmm I think
Yeah,
that's why you read that quote that if you don't own however much time, then you're a slave or something like that.
yeah. Because there's some kind of I gotta find another statement in saying there's some kind of merit to that. I say that shit too much now, but yeah, if you don't use if you don't have 2/3 of your time to yourself, then yes, you are a fucking slave. At the end of the day, especially if you're not doing what you want to with that 2/3 of your time, it's that's just a straight up concept. It's like I don't know. This is but then at the end of the day, we're all slaves because we're trying to fucking get these resources. I don't think
Everybody's
there's
not a
anything
slave,
wrong.
bro. Some motherfuckers are out there with way too much time on their hands, and they're just having the time of their life, doing whatever the
Be,
fuck they want to do.
You right,
being
like
woke.
you playing gardens and shit.
I mean, I don't have enough time, honestly. I don't have that kind of I don't have the kind of time that I'm talking about. Like I think people who have that kind of time have a lot of money to buy that time, and they spend it all being social or doing some dumb shit.
Yeah, and and the other thing is falling into the fucking traps and different trades because I don't know if I was telling you about like the place that I work. I was interested in basically buying a share in the company. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, you want to get all this money together just so you can spend it all on some shit that you're not really actually that interested in, probably. And a lot of people fall for that. Like it's like, yeah, it's a good investment, but do you really want to trade your time and your resources for some shit like that? I don't know. It's like I always think about that for like the people that work for that Chick-fil-A. They get there, they work, and yes, I know it's an honest job and you're doing an honest living. And they have it set up to where if you work there, now you can make contributions to the overall fucking business, and you can buy stock there, and you could better yourself even more to where you can buy your own little Chick-fil-A and get more money. But is that what it's about? I don't know. It just don't feel like that's what it's about.
It's about whatever you make it about. Before all this shit happened, we were all just in tribes and shit, hunting and foraging for our food, and people had different jobs and the stuff, and they had different traditions and all that, but it wasn't about money, it was about the community. It's just that over the more money and independence you have, the less you have to depend on people basically, and that turns you into a different type of person. But no one can say what the right answer of what it should or shouldn't be. This could always be a society where we worship the devil and do sacrifices for entertainment, or kill people in the street to honor our Lord or something like that.
You would like that, wouldn't you?
Damn right I would.
That's just crazy, but
I hope we don't ever have to resort to that, or the Scientology movement really does get like this big increase of members, and they just result to this radical thing where it's like join Scientology. It is the way. And oh
I
God,
mean,
what if that's
have you actually looked that shit up, bro? That shit sounds real.
you talking about Scientology in just general?
Bro, I was bullshitting.
I was to say because I mean we were both down there and we both walked past the Church of Scientology and said nope, not today.
Yeah, I didn't want that problem because they're more like a cult or some shit.
Hey, did you tell him
hey,
that
I read the book
Oh,
Dianetics.
no,
It's
that's not
good.
funny.
It
it's
is
really bad.
good. but it sound. I guess the problem with the book is like it sounds like some shit that was just made this year, and that's why it's so hard to believe it's a religion because it sounds like some shit that was just made.
What, Scientology?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
bad.
mm.
It just sounds like like that's kind of like the majesticness of route like most religions. They have that whole backing of we've been here for a bunch of years. So that's like number one why people can like, oh, I guess this is like some shit I can get into.
I don't know. It just no. It never seemed like this was on the up and up, man. Like if one of the reasons I talk quiet is because I'm a smart person and I'm often correct. And but like I don't have to try hard to convince someone if I can show them this is the logical, this is why this is what it is. This is the logical path to this conclusion. And it just seemed like they have to try hard. When you have to try hard to convince somebody, then some part of your message is bullshit.
Yeah, I feel you. 'Cause especially if you're genuinely attacking things with the truth and the facts, then you shouldn't have to do much more than that. I mean, shit, yeah. Now you can throw on some passion to add a little style, but if you're just giving them the straight facts and shit, then you don't have to work. You don't
Hmm.
have to work when you're doing that.
I'm gonna go pee.
Yep.
But even with all that to say, like just the how to speak, I watched this MIT course today because I think I was telling y'all about that. The fact that there's MIT courses still free and they have them on you can watch them on YouTube or you can go to the fucking website. But I think that's great that they got certain courses out there, the intro to it, and you can just watch it as much as you want. And to was it today? Yeah, it was today. I because for me, one of the problems that I have is speaking fluently or like I want to be able to communicate with ease when I'm talking to motherfuckers. And it was a real good one. It's called How to Speak. He was going through everything from talking about how you start a conversation. I'm guilty of this. I always would start one with a joke. He wrote that on the board and then he crosses it out and he goes, "You do not start a conversation with a joke." I'm just like, fuck. And it's just funny to me. But at the same time, it's like the most important part that I took from it was to learn shit from learning it. Or it's just what I mean by that is like there's the template of what he's trying to teach and seeing how I could apply it to shit that I already knew. And I don't know, it kind of helps reinforce the shit that I already knew. It's cool. I don't know. It's cool to basically be able to recognize what am I rambling about? I think it's basically cool to recognize what you're learning or how people build those things so you can break it down in other ways.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do it. Just do it.
Thanks.
I don't know.
Shia LaBeouf.
I really don't know, dude. I'm pseudo checked out. I've had a long first day.
Where are you at now?
I.
Well, yeah, we'll talk.
What
Yeah.
do you mean?
Well, because we're recording. I don't know if you want to like, yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah. No. I just this new. I just had a new. I just took the new position at this new the new exec, the exec chef position at this new restaurant.
Mhm. Speaking of
And
restaurant, I need to take you to this Italian restaurant, bro. Um, it's this pizza place actually where we used to meet up for lunch near on that same street. I need to take you there. It's pretty dope. I think you would actually approve of all this shit.
Who you talking to?
Bulls.
I
Me.
was talking to Liquid.
Because it sounds like you don't approve.
He probably don't.
I mean, I have to go. I have to go try it.
Of course. We're gonna get there, and then we're gonna sit down. He's gonna look over at me and say, "So this is complete trash." And
Darius, this
actually,
is literal slop.
actually, that did happen. We went to this one black restaurant we went to. I was hyping it up for the longest, and we all
Oh
finally went out
yeah.
there just for him to sit there and say, "Yeah, I hate places like this." But no, it's cool. It's funny because you made a valid point about just how some shit. I hate to say it, but some black restaurants they be overcharging their shit to I don't know. Maybe they're overcharging it to make up for. Maybe they're renting the space and they're trying to make the money to rent the space and shit. But it's just it does seem like a lot of black restaurants like that are self-owned like that overcharge shit. Maybe not Rudy's, but
But the thing is, people like to open businesses without having any actual income, like or they burn all
Mhm.
their liquid income, and then so they have to overcharge to keep up, and so they're running at like a small slim to none profit margin when they should have had
Mhm.
anticipated the market needs and the area they're trying to work at. Yeah, they're trying to bring back, like, it's cool. A mom and pop shop is trying to bring back a lively, like, bust down shopping center, but as weird as it sounds, let the white folks do that, or let the people who have money build it up. You know, if you're a small and pop business, you have to go somewhere. You have to take the risk and go somewhere already kind of developed. Because if you go somewhere under, like it's on you. And if you can't keep it going, then that's it. You're done, and
Mhm.
you wasted all your money. So rather than you try to do it, I'd rather have like show corporations come in and buy the places and put it in spots, and then maybe join in. Because if it's just you and you're the only thing in that shopping center, nobody's gonna go. There's no foot traffic. It's word by mouth and all this other stuff. And you have to carry, like, you're in a small corner in the middle of the shopping center. Like, who's gonna go there? Who's gonna see it from the street?
Mhm.
And so it's just all about locations and timing and placing and all that stuff. I'm gonna open up a business. You wait and see. It's gonna be I'm gonna sell mixtapes in the back. Only Fago, only Fago sodas in the 1.5 liter bottles.
that strawberry go
Scratchers,
hard though.
scratchers, burgers, and chicken. Oh, and the wrapper snacks, those chips.
I'll come and support you, bro.
For sure, for sure. I
I
may
just
have
want to hear some
do-rags.
mixtapes.
Yeah, you can come in, sit down, listen to a mixtape. If you don't like it, just put it back. If you do like it, you nod your head once. You have to buy the mixtape. You gotta really be on point.
I can just see. Oh, was that a nod? Was that a
Mhm.
nod? Checking the footage just to go see if that was a nod.
Instant review. The replay says that was a nod. It was a banger for you. You gotta buy the thing.
Oh
Now I want to
God,
go
it's like
there.
right, taking somebody to court. Your Honor, he nodded right there. 3
Mhm.
minutes and 15 seconds. He nodded.
Yeah, you gotta have 20 to spare you walking here.
Yeah, we make money moves. And my commercial's gonna be on at 3 in the morning. 3 in the morning and at like 11 p.m. or a.m. right after Judge Judy.
Only on channel 33.
Yeah, only on channel 33. The WB. What is it? If you
The
see it,
CW now, bruh.
Man, I liked it when it was WB because you could say, if you see a cop, Warner Brother.
Mhm.
Can't say that. You can't say that no more. Can't say that no more. Well, fellas, I've had a long night. It's been a long first day. I'm gonna go to bed, or actually, I'm gonna eat these raviolis that got cold. And then I'm gonna go to bed. It's cool talking to
Well, all
y'all.
right, sir. It
All
was
right,
good
man.
talking to you, man.
Yeah, appreciate the
Yeah,
conversation.
for sure. Keep it safe in the streets. Make sure you're always locked and loaded. Always make sure you carry your your
My sock pistol.
your sock pistol,
Your
your
bowler gun,
full
your
on your
bowler
full
tie.
on LMG with a drum round magazine because you always need that on the streets, and a Kevlar that you can change the steel plates in.
Only when I really need to swing my dick around.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Lick.
All right, bro.
Yeah, like,
Is that your nickname for him, Lick?
I don't like it. It sounds kind of homo.
It did, bro.
But see, that's what happens when you try to always bring somebody's name down to 1 or 2 syllables. I have that problem. I feel like everybody's name needs to just be 1 or 2 syllables.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate those motherfuckers with a nickname.
Lick. Lick. There you go. You can't even say the 1 syllable version of that with 1 syllable. Lick.
You
Lick.
probably could say that if you white, bro.
What?
Lick. He called him Lick before he got off. Case
Yeah,
is
that
weird.
don't,
So
that
apparently
don't
it's
sound.
weird.
Yeah,
And she speaks for white people
I
everywhere.
speak for all white.
Ask her what she built in the factory. 'Cause you know all white people were made in Texas.
What?
Bino said that in one of his stand-ups.
Bro, that nigga racist.
He is. Actually, he said it in his on one of his interviews. He's like, I don't know if I could marry a white person because I need my wife to be as racist as I am.
Okay, yeah, he's still white though.
Yeah.
That's where he learned this shit from.
Oh shit! Hey, I watched that MIT course today, the one with how to speak,
Oh yeah, how
and
was it?
it was pretty solid. But as you see, it does not work in one try.
What do you mean, as you see?
Well, no, because I'm still constantly struggling and rambling as I talk, and it really bothers me because it's like I really want it to be as smooth as fuck. I want to be able to have a conversation, and it's just like, ooh, 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 listen to him. Ooh, he got
Oh,
them
yeah,
riding
bro.
spinners when he talk.
It's all about progress.
Yeah, and I think I just can't wait to look back on all of this and say, damn, I actually did evolve.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you like look back at the old version of yourself and make your comparisons there? Did I grow in any place?
Wait, yeah, I mean that's pretty much like the way I plan to look at this. When I play these hoes back or yeah, I just want to be able to go to the first one and go like, oh my God. Like shit, like when I go back to the first song I ever made. That fucking I don't know if you remember the first song I ever recorded because you weren't actually there. The first song that I did, I recorded when I was in Virginia, and it was on the fucking Rock With You beat, the Michael Jackson song where they go into the instrumental mode.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey man, I'm about to rock." It was a bad verse, but that was the first song I recorded, and I think about that, and I think about where I'm at today, and it's just like I've
Hmm.
definitely evolved.
Yeah, bro. Because some people start off and they make careers out of this shit. That's why when people ask you, "What do you do?" Like it's supposed to be kind of like your identity. Because some people take that and then that's what they do, and they put all their energy into that one thing. But they all start somewhere, and become good
Yeah.
at their shit.
And that's the important part. You gotta
If
start
they
small.
grow. If they grow. Everybody doesn't grow.
I started thinking about some people we know. I don't want to call their names out, but
I mean, you can look at people everywhere. This applies to people across the board. It's not even about me about making music. People
yeah,
just don't grow. People stop growing. I have
it's real.
family that has not grown or has not grown in certain areas. I mean, people they just stop. They don't want to, or
There's
they
so
don't
much
care.
comfort. There's so much comfort in finding something in all of this. Since all this shit's always constantly changing, it's like it's natural for them to say, hey, I want to find something that's the same because everything is always changing. The comfort comes from finding something that stays the same. And it's
Hmm.
easy to fall into that little that little pattern, that little safety net when there needs to be an encouragement factor that helps people find the comfort in just being able to adapt and be what they need when they need to be.
Hmm. Yeah. To be able to look at yourself and say, I was wrong, and this is what I learned from it, and I'm going to try to be a better person by doing this. That's all it
Yeah.
takes.
Yeah. Um, why am I? Bro, let's hit the bot so I can just talk regularly. I don't know. I feel like I'm exhausted.
All right, hit that hoe. I'll hit that hoe.